Welcome to How to Write a Basic IEP Goal, brought to you by Special Educator Classroom. I am Mrs. J. I'm an education specialist in California with a master's degree in teaching from Point Loma Nazarene University. I have 10 years of experience and I've written hundreds of IEP goals. Let's talk about getting a baseline first. Okay, before you begin writing the goal, you need the present levels of academic performance, or what we call a baseline. To get a baseline, you're going to assess the student using your observation, written student work samples, tests or quizzes, which can be informal or formal assessments. Now, the reason that we want to get the baseline and know where the student is performing is so that we can determine if there is a deficit. The deficit happens between the student's skill level and the state academic content standards. You may not always write the goal for the exact content standard because you're first trying to address that specific academic deficit. Addressing the deficit might not get the student to the grade level content standard. This is often referred to as an emerging skill, and writing a goal for an emerging skill based on a content standard is an acceptable practice. Once you know the deficit between the content standard and your student's baseline or their present levels of academic performance, you are ready to write the goal. Okay, let's look at an example. Student can add single and multi-digit numbers with and without regrouping with 90% accuracy. This student can also skip count to 100 by 5s and 10s with 90% accuracy, and she can skip count by 2s to 20 with 20% accuracy. The student can multiply single-digit numbers with 0% accuracy. I want to take a second here to talk about what not to do. Don't write that the student cannot do something in your baseline. For example, student cannot memorize multiplication facts or student cannot multiply. It's really difficult to measure progress on what a student cannot do. Write your baseline on what the student can do currently, even if that is nothing. The student can skip count by 5s and 10s with 90% accuracy and by 2 with 20% accuracy. She can multiply single-digit numbers with 0% accuracy. That 0% is what you will be measuring and tracking over the next year. You can show growth by reporting the baseline in this way. Let's continue with this example. Let's say the state content standard is that you multiply numbers 1 through 10 with automaticity. What the student's really expected to do here is memorize the multiplication facts. But let's say your student has a memory deficit, and this student only knows how to skip count by 5s and 10s. So using this content standard, we are going to write the goal for the student to use skip counting and repeated addition in order to multiply single-digit numbers. So she's not exactly memorizing her multiplication facts, but she is learning how to multiply, which is based on this content standard. Okay, going from left to right here, we have the content standard, multiply single-digit numbers with automaticity. Emerging skill, skip counting. Skill to master, multiply using repeated addition. The goal is based on the multiplication content standard of memorizing multiplication facts. Okay, let's talk about writing the IEP goal. The 4 components you need to write an IEP goal are 1. Your annual date, 2. What supports are needed to help the student reach the goal, 3. How will the student reach mastery, and 4. Data collection. Okay, the annual date is easy. This is set 1 year from the date the IEP is being written. So if you're going to have the IEP on January 10th, 2018, then the annual date for the goal is January 10th, 2019. The next section are supports. How is the goal going to be accomplished? Will there be supports in place? If so, what will be provided? How will it be provided, and who will provide it? And you really need to be specific about what you're going to ask the student to do. Read a flashcard, write a sentence. Next, describe the mastery. What percentage will establish mastery, and how many trials will be required in order to see if the student has reached that mastery? Finally, how is the data going to be collected, and who's responsible for doing so? Will you use work samples, observation data, tests, quizzes? This has to be written out in the IEP goal. Okay, now for the fun stuff. Let's actually write an IEP goal. Here's sample 1. It's going to be a writing goal. Here's our baseline. At this time, student can copy up to 3 sentences from a far point with 80% accuracy for capitalization and 60% accuracy for ending punctuation. Student writes independently with 0% accuracy. And here's our new goal. First, the annual date by January 10th, 2019. Second, how the goal will be accomplished, including supports. After a teacher-led pre-writing activity such as a listen and sketch or a read aloud. Those are the supports. And with the use of a graphic organizer. Oh, another support. Now what the goal actually is. The student will write a single paragraph of up to 3 simple sentences. This is exactly what we want the student to be able to do. And then how the student reaches mastery. We're going to write with 80% accuracy for proper sentence structure, capitals, and ending punctuation in 4 out of 5 trials. Okay, let's put that all together. By January 10th, 2019, after a teacher-led pre-writing activity such as a listen and sketch or a read aloud, and with the use of a graphic organizer, student will write a single paragraph of up to 3 simple sentences with correct sentence structure, capitals, and ending punctuation with 80% accuracy in 4 out of 5 trials as measured by student work samples and/or teacher-charted observation. Okay, let's do a second sample. This one's going to be a math goal. At this time, student can skip count by 2s, 5s, and 10s to 100 with 80% accuracy. He can multiply single-digit numbers with 0% accuracy. Let's break it down. By January 10th, 2019, how the goal is going to be accomplished, including supports. When given visual supports and/or manipulatives. So in this case, the supports are the visuals or the manipulatives. What we want the student to be able to do. When given a sheet of up to 10 multiplication problems for numbers 1 through 10, student will use arrays and repeated addition to find products. And then finally, how is the student going to reach mastery? With 80% accuracy in 4 out of 5 trials as measured by student work samples and/or teacher-charted observation. Okay, let's look at it all together. By January 10th, 2019, when given visual supports and/or manipulatives and a worksheet of up to 10 multiplication problems for numbers 1 through 10, student will use arrays and repeated addition to find products with 80% accuracy in 4 out of 5 trials as measured by student work samples and/or teacher-charted observation. And that's it. A couple of notes about this presentation. A listen and sketch is a pre-writing activity where the teacher reads a page and the student sketches what they heard. It's an early note-taking skill. It's also very effective with English language learners. To learn how to do a listen and sketch, you can look for our YouTube video called Listen and Sketch. That'll be coming soon, and that's provided by Special Educator Classroom. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please subscribe to our Special Educator Classroom YouTube channel and share with your education friends. And stay tuned for more special education ideas and tips for new teachers.